It happened just after midnight on a rainy Thursday in a quiet Ohio neighborhood. Neighbors had grown used to the yelling from the apartment on the corner. But that night, something was different. There was a crash, then screaming. Then, silence. A silence that felt like it lasted forever. That's when Mrs. Green, the woman in apartment 2B, finally called 911. "There's a child in there," she whispered, her voice shaking. "And I think he's going to kill someone." Minutes later, officers arrived. The hallway reeked of alcohol and fear. The front door was unlocked, but battered. Inside, a man paced the living room, his knuckles bloodied. A young woman lay curled on the floor, bruised, dazed, barely conscious, her arms shielding her head. But the officers were looking for something else. "Where's the child?" Officer Jennings asked, gun drawn. No answer. Then, a soft cry. They followed it to the bedroom. That's where they found her. 3-year-old Lily, huddled under the bed, clutching a teddy bear missing one of its eyes. Her cheeks were tear-streaked. Her clothes, wrinkled and stained. When Officer Thompson crouched and reached for her, Lily didn't scream. She didn't speak. She didn't even blink. She just stared. Lily was immediately taken to the hospital for evaluation. Physically, she had no visible injuries. Emotionally, she was fractured. She wouldn't answer the doctor's questions. She ignored toys, turned away from juice boxes. She didn't speak a single word. By morning, she was placed in emergency foster care with Marlene Wilcox, a retired elementary school teacher who had spent the last 10 years opening her home to children in crisis. "She's not talking?" Marlene asked, reviewing the file. "Not a word," the social worker replied, "not since she was found." The first few days were the hardest. Marlene had raised dozens of children. But Lily was different. She didn't cry. She didn't laugh. She didn't speak. She barely made eye contact. At night, she curled in bed and stared at the ceiling for hours while Marlene sat nearby in a rocking chair, humming lullabies. She hoped, somehow, Lily could feel that she was safe now. By the end of the week, Marlene had tried everything: music, storybooks, baking cookies, but Lily remained locked in silence. Dr. Evans, her therapist, diagnosed signs of selective mutism and trauma-induced PTSD. "She's not being stubborn," Dr. Evans explained. "She's scared. Her brain is protecting her by shutting everything down." One afternoon, during therapy, Dr. Evans mentioned a new program being piloted by the local police department. It involved a courtroom support dog, a calm black Labrador named Justice, trained to work with children in traumatic cases. "He's gentle, trained to be calm and quiet," Dr. Evans said. "Sometimes children find it easier to open up around dogs than people." "You think a dog can get through to her?" Marlene asked, hesitant. Dr. Evans smiled softly. "Sometimes a dog's silence speaks louder than our words ever could." The next morning, Marlene told Lily a visitor was coming. Lily didn't react. She sat by the window, watching raindrops race down the glass. An hour later, a car pulled up. Officer Bailey stepped out, holding the leash of a calm Labrador with soft brown eyes and a shiny badge on his collar. His name was Justice. Lily watched from the hallway as Justice entered the living room. He didn't bark. He didn't jump. He simply sat in the center of the rug and waited. Lily stepped in slowly, cautiously, clutching her fraying teddy bear. Justice didn't move. Then, one step. Another. And without a word, Lily reached out and touched his fur. He didn't flinch. He remained still, solid, patient, safe. His tail gave a gentle thump against the rug. Lily stood beside him, fingers curled gently into his coat, careful, like she feared he might vanish. From the kitchen doorway, Marlene pressed a hand to her chest. It was the first time she'd seen Lily move with such purpose. Like the child had found something familiar in this silent, furry stranger. From that day forward, Justice visited every afternoon. Sometimes with Officer Bailey. Sometimes with a volunteer handler. But always calm, always steady. And every day, Lily waited at the window. She never spoke, not to Marlene, not to the handlers, but her body softened. She stopped flinching at doorbells. She stopped recoiling from hugs. And one day, when Marlene dropped a plate in the kitchen, Lily didn't freeze. She turned toward the sound, then looked at Justice. He was already watching her. The breakthrough came 2 weeks after Justice first arrived. The house was quiet. Justice lay on the rug, eyes half closed. Lily sat beside him with her teddy bear, brushing his fur. Marlene folded laundry nearby. Then, a whisper. "Good boy." Marlene froze. Hands mid-fold. She turned slowly. Lily rested her head on Justice's back, her lips near his ear. "Good boy," she said again, louder. Justice didn't move. But Marlene's eyes filled with tears. 2 words, barely a whisper. But they shattered the silence like sunlight through storm clouds. "Doctor." Evans wept when she heard. "This is the door," she said. "Now we help her walk through it." The timing was crucial. Later that week, the prosecutor's office contacted Marlene. Lily's presence would be required in court, not to testify, but to be part of the process. Her identity would be protected. She would not be cross-examined. But the judge believed the court needed to hear her story, in her own words, when she was ready. Marlene was horrified. She just started speaking again, she argued. "You're putting her right back in the trauma. She won't be alone," the prosecutor assured. "Justice will be with her the entire time, and we believe she's ready." Dr. Evans agreed. This could be part of her healing, if done on her terms. They prepared Lily, not with scripts or drills, but through play, storytelling, and quiet moments. Each day, she whispered a little more to Justice. When asked who her best friend was, she answered simply, "Justice." And when the court date arrived, Lily stood by the front door in a blue dress and tiny shoes, holding her teddy bear in one hand, and Justice's leash in the other. The courthouse loomed tall and gray. Most children would be terrified. But Lily stood quietly beside Marlene, small beneath the archway, but somehow strong. Inside, whispers followed her through the halls. Attorneys, clerks, and bailiffs all paused to look at the child standing beside the police dog. Courtroom 204 was full when Lily entered. Her mother was not present, still in a protection program. But the man who changed both their lives sat stiffly at the defense table. The judge, a tall woman known for her no-nonsense demeanor, softened when she saw Lily. "We are privileged today," she said, "to have a very special witness, brave beyond her years." Lily looked up at Marlene. A soft nod. Justice led her forward. At the stand, Lily hesitated. Justice nudged her hand. She stepped up. The judge allowed him to sit beside her, a rare but powerful exception. The Ada, Miss Carter, crouched to Lily's level. "Hi, Lily," she said gently. "You don't have to say anything you don't want to. Just tell me if something's too hard." Lily looked at Justice, then back. A small nod. "Do you remember what happened that night?" Miss Carter asked. Lily's hand tightened around the leash. Silence. Then, a whisper. "He yelled at Mommy." Justice pressed his head into her knee. "What did you do when that happened?" "I hid," she said, "under the bed." "And how did you feel?" Lily touched Justice's ear. "Scared," she whispered. "I thought he'd find me." Justice laid his head in her lap. Then Lily added, unprompted, "Justice helped me talk." No one in the courtroom moved. When she stepped down, there was no applause. Only quiet reverence. One juror mouthed, "Thank you." Justice walked beside her, tail wagging gently. His mission far from over. Back in the private room, Lily curled beside him. Juice box in hand, teddy in the other. "You were so brave, sweetheart," Marlene whispered. Justice licked Lily's cheek. She giggled, quiet, but full of light. The next day, the jury returned. Guilty, on all counts. The judge called it a necessary victory. The prosecutor called it justice. And the bailiff, who'd seen hundreds of cases, called it something else entirely. Hope. Whispered to Miss Carter. That little girl did more with 6 words than any lawyer could with 6 hours. After the verdict, the judge requested a private audience with Lily. Inside her chambers, she gave Lily a certificate, hand-lettered and framed, for extraordinary bravery, honesty, and heart. She also gave Justice a new collar tag, one word engraved in gold: hero. The courtroom lights had dimmed, but the story was just beginning. Outside the courthouse, Lily's name was never released to the media. Only the nickname, Little Witness, appeared in articles. But Justice, his name was everywhere. News stations ran the story across the country. Courtroom K9 helps child confront her abuser. Photos of him sitting proudly beside a small girl in a blue dress touched millions. Celebrities shared it, trauma counselors praised it, lawmakers discussed it. But while the world buzzed with admiration, Lily was back home with Marlene, quietly coloring butterflies onto notebook paper. Justice lay nearby, gnawing gently on a toy bone, his reward for a job well done. Lily's bravery certificate hung on her bedroom wall. "You earned this," Marlene said, every word. Lily tilted her head. "Can Justice have one too?" "He already has." Marlene smiled. "It's around his neck." Over the next few days, Lily began to blossom. She woke up earlier. She hummed at breakfast. She asked questions during bedtime stories. Words came easier now, not all at once, but enough to signal something beautiful, healing. Dr. Evans couldn't stop smiling during their sessions. "She's reconnecting," she said. "Her mind is no longer trapped in the memory. She's moving forward." And still, every day, she asked about Justice. So Officer Bailey arranged weekly visits. On Tuesday afternoons, the cruiser would pull up and Justice would jump out, tail wagging. Lily would squeal, running to meet him. They'd sit under the tree in the backyard, side by side, as if nothing bad had ever happened. But not everyone was ready to move on. In courtrooms across the state, children were still suffering, still being called to speak about the unspeakable. That's when a proposal landed on the governor's desk to expand the Courtroom K9 comfort program statewide. The pilot had shown remarkable results, and Justice had become the symbol of something larger than law, hope. A month after the verdict, Marlene received an invitation to a public event at the Capitol, a ceremony honoring the contributions of service animals. Justice was to be recognized. They wanted Lily to attend too. Marlene hesitated at first. "We don't have to do anything you don't want," she told Lily. "You've already done more than enough." Lily sat quietly for a moment. "Will Justice be there?" "Yes." "Then I want to go." The day of the ceremony was warm and bright. Crowds lined the Capitol steps, children waving little flags, police officers in full dress uniform. When Lily stepped out of the car in her yellow sundress, holding Justice's leash, the crowd fell silent, then erupted in applause. Cameras clicked. Reporters stood back respectfully. One officer knelt and handed Lily a medal. "For Justice," he said with a wink, "but also for his partner." Justice barked once, low and calm. Lily smiled. Inside the Capitol Rotunda, the governor gave a speech highlighting the Courtroom Comfort Dog program and announcing its expansion to every county. But it wasn't his words that moved the audience, it was Lily's. With help from Dr. Evans, she stood at the podium and read a short sentence she had practiced for weeks. "Sometimes kids are scared to talk, but if someone listens, even a dog, it helps." The applause that followed wasn't loud, it was soft, respectful, a recognition not of a perfect speech, but of pure truth. After the event, a woman from the National Trauma Advocacy Board approached Marlene. "That little girl just did more for awareness than we could in 10 years. She said, she's going to change lives." Marlene looked at Lily, now sitting on the Capitol steps, her head resting against Justice's side. "She already has," she replied. The medal Justice received now hung beside Lily's bravery certificate, their accomplishments framed together, two symbols of courage and healing. But time, even for heroes, has its rhythm. Justice was slowing down. He'd given nearly a decade of service, comforting child victims, waiting patiently in cold courtrooms, laying still beside children with shaking hands and trembling hearts. His body was beginning to show signs of fatigue. Officer Bailey had known it was coming. The department decided it was time to officially retire Justice from courtroom duty. Lily didn't take the news the way Marlene had feared. "Is he sad?" she asked. "No," Marlene said gently. "He's just ready to rest. He's helped a lot of people. Now it's his turn to be taken care of." Lily nodded. "Then he should come live with us." Marlene paused. She had considered it, of course. but it was still technically up to the police department. As it turned out, they didn't need much convincing. Justice's handler, Officer Bailey, made the announcement 2 weeks later at a small ceremony held in the department's front lot. Local officials, officers, therapists, and foster parents all came to honor Justice's service. There were speeches, cupcakes, and even a bone-shaped cake just for him. When the moment came, Bailey called Lily up to the front. He knelt beside her and handed her Justice's leash. "He's officially yours now," he said with a smile, retired and ready for a couch. The crowd chuckled. Lily didn't say anything at first. She just dropped to her knees and hugged Justice tightly. "I love you," she whispered into his fur. Justice licked her cheek, his eyes closing peacefully. From that day on, he didn't wear a badge, just a blue collar with his name embroidered on it in yellow thread. He was no longer a courtroom comfort dog. He was just Lily's dog, and he seemed perfectly content with that. As Justice settled into his new role as full-time companion, Lily was undergoing another transformation. Her social worker sat down with Marlene one afternoon. "You've given her more than just a home. You've given her healing, stability, love." Then with a smile, she added, "Are you ready to make this official?" Marlene's breath caught. She had waited, never wanting to push, always letting Lily lead the pace. But when she asked Lily how she would feel about being adopted, the little girl didn't hesitate. "Will Justice stay too? He's part of the package," Marlene promised. The adoption hearing was set for the following month. Lily picked out her favorite yellow dress, the same one she'd worn at the Capitol, and clutched her teddy bear the whole drive there. In the courtroom, surrounded by the people who had supported her journey, she stood proudly beside Marlene and Justice. The judge, thankfully not the same one from her earlier trauma, smiled warmly as she finalized the papers. "Do you want to change her name?" the clerk asked. Marlene looked down at Lily. Lily shook her head. "I want to keep it. That's who I was. I just have a new home now." Tears welled in Marlene's eyes. "Then Lily it is." After the gavel came down, everyone clapped, not for legal closure, but for love, survival, and second chances. Outside, a photographer from a local paper snapped a photo of Lily, Marlene, and Justice walking hand in hand, and paw, down the courthouse steps. It ran the next morning under the headline, "A New Chapter Begins Together." That night, as rain tapped gently on the windows, Lily curled up on the couch beside Justice. She pressed her head against his. "We're both retired now," she said sleepily, "from being scared." Justice let out a deep, peaceful sigh. And for the first time in a long time, the world outside didn't seem quite so big.
If this tale moved you, if you felt the tension, the heartbreak, and the triumph, please support our channel by hitting the like button and subscribing. Your support means the world to us and helps us bring more thrilling, emotional, and inspiring stories your way. Leave a comment below and let us know what you think. Do you believe dogs have an extraordinary sixth sense? Share your thoughts and personal stories with us. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.